Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello dear students, this is a video for the subject of education, for the course of Bachelor's in Education and for the paper of Educational Technology. This video is based on the major topic of teaching learning strategies and materials. And in this lecture, we will be discussing on the modes of computer assisted instruction and their limitations. This video lecture is recorded by Dr. Iram Khan. The course coordinator and the presenter of this video is Dr. Iram Khan from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. The academic expert or the reviewer of this video is Professor Jasim Ahmed from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. This video is produced under the project DTH Swayam Prabha channels of Ministry of Education, Government of India. Hello dear students, I am Dr. Iram Khan, Assistant Professor at Institute of Advanced Studies in Education, Faculty of Education, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. Today we are going to have a discussion which is from the main module of Teaching Learning Strategies and Materials, and in this lecture we will be discussing about the modes of computer assisted instruction and their limitations. So let us start the discussion first with the objectives. The objectives of this session are to discuss the various forms of computer assisted instruction and to describe the limitations and difficulties of computer assisted instruction. So the computer assisted instruction can take a variety of forms or modes for providing self-individualized instruction to a student, and this entire process depends on the computer services which are available to the student. Let us try to see what exactly are these types or modes. The first type which is to be discussed is informational instruction. Informational instruction helps the learner to get the desired information, whatever the information is required by the learner. And here the computer can serve the role of an inquiry officer, and this computer system responds to the student's inquiry with different answers which are stored beforehand in the system. It provides minimal interaction between the student and the computer program. And the sole purpose of this type of computer assisted instruction is to provide essential information for the acquisition of concepts and skills. However, the individual learner or the student can learn a lot by adopting an inquiry or discovery approach towards self-learning through all these type of instructions which are provided through this mode of instruction, which is considered to be as the informational instruction. The next type is drill and practice programs. Computer assisted instructions provide the learner with different types of drill or practice programs which cover specific topics related to a particular subject. Through all these services of computers can be properly availed or used for providing practice in something which is already learned in some way, either one way or the other way, and this particular thing is going to help in the development of a variety of skills. So one knowledge which is attained previously is going to help in acquiring various type of skills. And let us try to actually understand this with an example. For providing the different practices in multiplication skill, the computer may display on the screen a simple problem. Like, let us take any of the multiplication, like any digit, and let us try to multiply it. Let us take the example of 9 into 5. What will be the answer? 9 into 5 will be 45. So the child basically here is going to, or the child is required to respond to typing the numeric key of the keyboard. If the answer is wrong, the computer immediately displays a message that the answer is wrong. So wrong will be written. And if the answer is correct, another problem for carrying out the practice is presented. So if the student has answered that 9 into 5 is 45, then the next answer, if the correct answer is given, then the next problem will be presented in front of the student for making the practice. And these responses come within a fraction of a second. It will not take much time. And this is the situation where the child has not to wait for the answer or for the feedback. So everything will be very quick. On the other hand, the computer has the required patience to wait and allow the child to go ahead with his or her own speed and intention of responding and moving forward. So if the child is taking a little bit of time in calculation, the computer is not going to present the other problem until unless the child provides or child gives the right answer. So this is something which is very much valuable. The advanced programs on all these practice skills or the drills select the problems of varying difficulty levels on the basis of the performance of the student during the earlier sessions. So everything is actually, every activity is being stored here in the memory of the system, and the system is going to select more complicated or more complex problems for this practice which the computer is actually giving to the child, because the intention is uh, to make the child understand the process of multiplication. So the computer is known to have a good memory for the errors of the learners, and that is why it proves a very effective teacher in providing the students proper material for this practice. Every sort of exercise, where which are the problem areas, which are the points where the student is requiring much more emphasis, much more practice is required. Every single activity is going to be stored in the memory of the system, and accordingly the system is going to present the next problem so that the skill of multiplication is comprehended by the student. So this was the drill and practice programs, and this is another type or mode of computer assisted instruction. The next type is tutorial type computer assisted instruction. And here the computer assisted instruction, basically the computers are engaged in actual teaching. In this particular type, the computers can play effectively the role of a tutor by maintaining a perfect interaction and dialogue with the individual students. There are different tutorial programs which are prepared not only to have instruction in the topics. Let us take the example of any topic. Maybe the topic of Darwin's theory is being explained. So different sets and their operations will be provided. Many examples of such type of problems. Let's take the different natural phenomena which can be explained. So every single information will be stored, but also to provide sufficient practice, the computer is going to have the proper track of the students' difficulties and the performance, and move the student on the path of progress according to their own pace, their own abilities, and whatever requirement they have. So computer is very much efficient in sensing that what exactly is the unique capability, unique ability and requirement of every student. So if the student has been able to master a concept, the computer assisted program provides the next step of instruction. But in case the learner is not able to achieve mastery, the program provides remedial instructions, and it tries to make the student enable, or it tries to actually solve all the problems of the student in terms of acquisition of that particular knowledge. So this was tutorial type computer assisted instruction. The next is the educational games, and this is also one of the types of computer assisted instruction. What happens in this? Here, the learners are provided with a variety of well-designed computer games. And these games should not be confused with academic type games. Basically, uh, these games are for the purpose, like they are not only for the purpose to provide intellectual challenge, simulation of curiosity, and they serve as a source of motivation to the individual learner. So they are not only some sort of replication of the classroom. The games are designed in a way that it simulates, or it creates an environment which is very much motivational or interesting, and the child is actually interested in the entire process. So the curiosity and uh, the motivation level is increased, and these games prove to be the source of utmost motivation and interest for the children. In a course of learning, these games can be used as a source of review or as a reward for some accomplishment, or if we want to reinforce, if we want to give some kind of um, like encouragement, we can provide them some game which they can actually play and they can refresh. So this is another type, and we consider this type as educational games type of computer assisted instruction. The next is simulation type of instruction. Simulation is used as a technique for providing training to the students. And here, the simulation type of instructional activities provide powerful learning tools to the students. With the carefully prepared programs, these students who are actually provided with the simulation are made to face real or idealized situations. They have to play an active role and are required to take decisions and the have to face all the consequences which are being simulated. For example, in case of a computer simulation program, the student must be put to participate in an activity where some sort of hockey game is going on, and there is one team who is playing against another team, and the goals and all those activities are being done. So here, the the entire process of playing this hockey match is being simulated, and the student is participating in that particular play or that game. So the simulation in all these activities of playing a game, maybe we can play the game of chess where the computer is the opponent and the child is another player, and the entire play can be actually played between these two, the computer and the child. So this type of simulation in all its means actually provides much less expensive and less dangerous type of training, and we know that this type of thing is actually done indoor, so it is very safe, even in the situation when we have to be homebound, and infections can happen if we go outside and play. So this type of indoor games which have some sort of knowledge domain also, they are very much helpful. These are actually played, the simulations are created with the help of a computer, and on the screen of the system, or even the mobile phone can be used. The screen is basically used for display, and even the child is enjoying the entire situation, and it is much more likely to be matching to the real situation, and the child is actually making the real type of mistakes because the system is basically simulating everything. The real scenario is simulated. So this experience is very enriching and is safer than the actual situation in the scenario in which right now we are. So if we are not able to go out and play the outdoor games, their simulations, the activities and the games which are based on simulations can be very much helpful and a source of motivation for the students to refresh them and get them readied for another topic or lesson. Even we can create lessons which are in the form of these games, which are having all those theories and formulas intact to them. So it is also a source where we can, by their use, we can actually provide the real hardcore teaching to the students. The next type is problem solving type. This type of computer-assisted instruction focuses on the process of finding an answer to any of the problems. And here the focus is on finding the answers. So the answer is not provided. You have to go for solving the problem and finding the answer. Here the students are provided with programs, and these programs can make them think about the ways and means of solving the problem systematically. So every problem is programmed in a way that it will be presented in front of the student, and now the student is going to make a lot of thinking process, a lot of creativity, and then by use of all those, the student is going to solve the problem in a very systematic way. With the concrete ways which are suggested in the programs, the students can divide or they can analyze the problem into small constituents or small parts or steps, and then they can, or they become able to devise systematic procedure for its solution. So they can divide the problem into simple steps, and then one by one or systematically they can solve the problem on their own. And there is a possibility that every student is going to solve the problem in her or his own way. And one of the best known problem solving instructional material or the package is the Lego blocks, where you can find that the student can make, if or a child can make different types of buildings or structures. Although the pieces which are provided can be of multiple shapes, and they are actually multiple in number, and by making these structures, like if the student tries to make a structure by these Lego blocks, the student can make anything, a car or a truck or a building. So it is up to the student that what type of structure the student is going to make. So there are many programs which are available for different type of students for increasing the sophistication of their thought process and help them to learn good thinking strategies and the problem solving abilities. So it's a very useful way in which we can use the computer assisted instruction to make the students uh, comprehend that what exactly is the process of problem solving. The next is the practical work-oriented instruction. Computer-assisted instruction are the programs which can provide valuable help in supplementing the laboratory and all those sort of experiments and other type of practical work. A student can learn so many things about the science experiments, about actually performing them in the practical class by watching and following a computer program which is made for this purpose. And in a similar way, this child or this student can avail the necessary skills and experiences about the practical task in their field before actually engaging in such practical activities. And in this way, the child will be having a necessary preparation and also the background from computers for their better performances at the school hours can be actually used for this purpose of practical work oriented instruction. Nowadays we have got many projects and many programs which are initiated by the government itself, like we have got virtual labs where you can find a lot of the computer assisted programs or simulations which are very much useful for the students of chemistry, physics, biology, or many engineering and other fields. There are those practicals which are uh, hardcore practicals which are done only in the lab situation, but here the simulations are helping the students to understand and actually experience the entire process, which is provided in the form of simulation. We have got O labs where you can find a lot of simulations which are based on these practical works, and they are very much helpful in the situation where we can't actually go to perform the laboratory activities actually in the physical laboratory. So they are very much useful, and the limitation of online situation or online learning, which was under this scenario that what we will do in terms of practicals, they are actually making a solution, ready solution in front of us, that we can use these simulation based facilities and go ahead with doing the experiments which are simulated, and very much similar experience of getting the result in front of us can be actually experienced by the student. Let us move to the next, which is the learning affairs managing time. In this type of instructional activities, the computer-assisted programs provide valuable help in supervising, managing the learning affairs, the learning activities of the students. They can have a proper check over the learning activities of the students by identifying their academic weaknesses through extensive diagnostic testing, and to prescribe educational programs to meet the students' individual needs. They can give assignments for evaluation purpose. They can help in self-study, even in extensive library reading, even in group work, taking a test over assignment, and to keep a check on their progress. Even they can provide an assistive hand to the teacher. They can guide this computer system can guide the teacher and also to the parents or the ward or regarding their ward, so that the teachers can plan the strategy to educate the children, and even the parents would be aware of the strengths and weaknesses of their children, and they can actually help them to overcome those weaknesses, and they can even motivate them for the strength or the areas in which they are so good. So it's very helpful in the subjects and the areas which need extensive computation and manipulation of data analysis, data gathering and all. Like we have got different subjects of statistics or mathematics, in case of engineering, data sciences, and even in case of advanced type of researches. The computers can do a lot of work, and the works which take a lot of time, if we do those things, those calculations manually, that particular time can be saved if we are in a position to use the computer in a like proper way. A mini computer or maybe a scientific calculator can do and replace the work of a giant calculating machine. If we are aware of that, what can be done, what are the what are those methods which can be uh, used or input is to be given, then we can receive a good output. So in the education of the children who are having special needs, or those children who are hearing impaired, or maybe those children who are mute or visually impaired, the computers can provide the needed learning experiences with very like very less efforts can be uh, like we can input very less efforts and we can get great output. And these computer programs, which are specially created for the special children, are very much remarkable, and they are doing wonders in the area of education of children. The assistive technologies which are developed specially for the helping, becoming a helping hand for the education and training for the students, is is doing remarkable work. And in this way, the computers can play a leading role not only in managing the affairs of the teaching learning process, but also in the in various ranges and in different areas which are connected to the world of education, and different arenas are there where we can help the students in data collection, data gathering, data analysis. The students with special needs can also be assisted. So a lot of things can be done if we are knowing how to handle the computers in a better way. So this is something where the management of the entire activities can be done with the help of computer assisted instruction. Now we have to focus on what exactly are the limitations or the difficulties which can be faced in the case of computer assisted instruction. The computer assisted instructions have seen to be available in various types for helping the students in their auto instructional activities. And this is most workable uh, instructional device which can be run by the individual with little or no teacher assistance. Yet there are many things which come to as a limitation when we talk about the practical use of the computers. So we can say that there are many limitations or the drawbacks. And what are those? Let us try to see one by one. The first limitation which can be discussed is that the instruction of computer assisted entire process in the classrooms provide a bit of expense. So they are all very expensive, and they're not very much economical in terms of educational returns. They require a lot of money in terms of creating the infrastructure ready for the computer assisted instruction. Then computer as an electronic device may invite different type of significant hazards to children. There is a potential danger for the children. Either the machine can be damaged by them, or maybe there will be certain type of problems which the child can face because of the computer. So this damage thing is also one of the limitation. And much of the difficulty is felt on account of the unavailability or usability of the educational software. So the hardware is actually nothing without a software. So either we don't get any program for a particular type of instruction and teaching of a topic, or we are cheated by the computer firms by selling us the software uh, which is not very appropriate or not easy to comprehend, or maybe it's not that much useful. So the availability of a good software or something which is very properly prepared is something which is another limitation. Then serving of the hardware or the machinery, the entire uh, system of the computer also actually is some sort of problem for many of us. If for one or the other reason the machine is failed in maybe any of the problems can occur and the machine is not working, the expertise to operate or to actually rectify the problem or making the repair work done, it's not easily available in every nook and corner because it's a specialized work. And what happens consequently that the regular instructional work or the self-study of the students may receive a major setback because now they have got the habit of using the computer for their regular activities. And because of this problem which has occurred, a kind of problem which was not thought of that it can occur, but it has now in front of us, and because the repair facility is not readily available, so there can be a void created because the students are now having the like they are very much used to of using this computer. This is again a limitation of having a specialized repair facility or a person who can actually solve the problems in case there is some problem related to the hardware. The auto instruction or self-study, which is carried out in the form of computer-assisted instruction, is basically a learner-controlled instruction. Here, the learner is the master of the whole instructional process, and that is why there is little scope for keeping the restraint and like keeping all those checks and balances on the learners because they are now controlling the entire thing. So it may lead to indiscipline or maybe vulnerability of the students in terms of their exposure to the content and there can be carelessness and unnecessary wasting of time on the part of the student because now they are having all the control on this machine. Then the learners are supposed to type from the keyboard or they are supposed to use the joysticks or the pens against the screen for putting up their responses. And during long study hours, this exercise may prove to be very monotonous or boring. It can be like they will be finding it mechanical or they become a little bit tired of doing all these things, typing and using the joystick. So they have to live with, uh, with basically doing all this and they have to go for the ways to interact with the computer on account of the fact that there is no computer till now that can communicate and respond to the speech and writing of the students like their teachers. Although we have got a lot of speech and writing enabled computers, but they are not in a position to replace the teacher. The efficiency which the teacher is actually having is not actually acquired by any system till date. So we can say that maybe uh, the speech enabled computers are right now there, but they cannot replace the teacher. The if human effect which the teacher actually puts in is lacking in a system, in a machine. Computer assisted instruction can be proved to be good and effective in and it may prove as an instructional device, but they cannot be accommodated properly in the setup of our educational systems. Here in our country, our schools or colleges, which have comprised of set timings and there are very like scheduled type of timetables, and we have got uniform curricula, and we have got groups oriented instruction, and there is the system of examination. So here it is difficult for us to cater to the entire students at a time because the facilities in terms of the physical computer systems are that they are not that much which is required by each and every student, and we cannot replace or build up altogether a new structure which can dare to invite chaos by introducing computer assisted instruction to the fullest because it will again be becoming difficulty, because we have got a huge uh, number of students who are coming to the schools, and if we think of that every student is going to have a system which is going to provide them the computer assisted instructions completely, it is a very wild dream for us right now in this situation. So lack of infrastructure in schools and colleges in terms of computer systems and the other devices is something which is again a limitation for our system, our educational system. The other major limitation of the computer assisted instruction lie in the fact that computers are machines, and no machine can ever match the uh, human efforts or human beings effective instruction, interaction, and that we feeling which we have got once we are interacting with the teacher in the actual scenario. So it is difficult for a machine to match with the actual teacher. The emotions, the empathy and the values, the sympathetic attitude, and then that particular bonding which the teacher and the students have, it is very hard to bring all these type of emotions and value system between a machine and a human being. So the teacher pupil interaction, the bonding, is only possible if we are providing the real time teaching learning scenario. Teachers are teaching to the student. It is difficult for us to replace a human being by a machine, and that is why we can say that machine is not going to replace the teacher at all. So these limitations and the drawbacks which we have just talked about do not undermine the importance of computers as an aid to the instructional process, but they are not going to replace the teacher or the traditional teaching learning system. They can render a valuable help to the teacher as well as to the learners in this particular process uh, of actually going for actual excellence with regard to their responsibilities, their actions towards teaching and learning. It is like it is a thing or it is a process where human beings cannot be replaced by a machine, but human beings can be assisted by the machine in a very positive way. It is useless to say that the use of computers in a classroom at once needs some advanced technical skills on the part of the teacher. In all the practical sense, the computers may be handled like other hardware, other machines or other devices like a smartphone or a TV or any of the projection devices. So in the same way as we use all these projection devices, the computer is going to work in the same way. It is also a hardware which is having a lot of software which are so even if one human being is not wanting to learn anything beyond uh, which whatever is actually stored here in the machine, and the person is willing to run only whatever the person is actually required to learn or whatever is his or her choice, this person can actually select it. So it is up to the person. There may be thousands of things or programs which are uh, there in the system, in the computer, and the human being can select, pick and choose that what he or she is supposedly willing to study. It will not come in the way of a teacher to use computer as an instructional tool. The teacher does not need to prepare the software or the computer program, as these programs may be procured from the market or maybe they can be borrowed from any of the institutions or service providers, and there are many agencies which prepare a lot of computer programs and they provide the programs if they are needed. So it is actually very much impractical if the teacher tries to make the program. We can, as a teacher, we can get the program from the educational agencies and utilize the programs for our own purposes, because every teacher is not very much well equipped in creation of a computer program, but usability of the program is something which every teacher can actually do if they do a little bit of if they invest a little bit of time and they are interested to do for doing all this. And therefore there is a great need of making suitable environment for removing all type of hesitation and all those hunches, like the fear in the minds of the teachers for the adoption of computer assisted instruction as a method or mode of instruction. Because even in today's scenario, a lot of teachers are having some sort of hesitation in terms of using the online systems or the computer assisted programs, because they feel that maybe it is going to take a lot of time and they will not be in a position to actually match to the speed of others. Maybe they would be harming the hardware, and there are many type of dilemmas, but we have to back off all those dilemmas and we have to leave all those problematic things, hesitations and fears, and try to adapt to the system, because it is something which is need of the hour, and it is going to help us in dealing with the situations where we have to be online and we have to provide assistance to our students in the online situation. So it is a must for all of us as a teacher to leave our hesitation and fear in terms of using the computer assisted instruction. Now we have reached to the end. Let us try to summarize whatever we have studied today. We have studied that there are a variety of forms and styles which are available for making the use of computer assisted instruction depending upon the instructional and educational needs of the users. And we have seen that there are many forms and styles. We have seen that the first style is the informational style, then we have got drill and practice style, then we have got tutorial type, the next is educational games type, then we have got simulation type, and the next is problem solving type, then practical work oriented type of style of CAI, and then we have got learning affair management type, and these are the specific types of computer assisted instruction. The CAI or computer assisted instruction, whenever it comes to the practical use, it is found to suffer from a number of limitations and drawbacks, and they can be uh, like that we consider them as expensive and uneconomical in terms of educational returns, possibility of being a potential danger for the children, either to damage the machine or uh, maybe even the machine can be harmful for the student because of the exposure and all for a long time. Then difficulty which is felt on account of the unavailability of usability or usability of educational software. There can be various problems faced by the students or the teachers on account of the proper maintenance and repair of the computer system. Then possibilities of turning independence, which is granted to the learners, into uh, various type of indisciplines or carelessness and unnecessary wasting of time on their part. Then working on the computers may prove at times very time taking or boring, mechanical, monotonous, and tiring to the students, like typing and doing something which is very like mechanical kind of, and it causes various type of health hazards, like if we are sitting for a long hour, maybe we would be facing some sort of pain here in the neck or in any of those, like in the back. So that is also one of the limitation. and there can be difficulties to fit the computer-assisted instruction into the prevailing system of education and evaluation in our schools. So, but we can say that despite of all those limitations, the computer assisted instruction is proving to be very much useful, and it is a kind of respite in the situation in which we are all in. When we have to be homebound, we are only taking online classes and helping our students to continue their studies through these online mediums. So that hesitation which most of the teachers were having right now is going like slowly, every teacher is trying to acquire the skills which are required for online classes, and it is helping us out tremendously because we are not wasting any of our times by the use of the online systems, the hardware and the software. With the help of the internet, we are in a position to manage the studies of our students, and that their time is not wasted. So it is, despite of all the limitations, still we can say that it is very much advantageous. So this is all for this lecture. These are some of those references and the links which were used for the creation of this particular lecture. You can also go ahead and read more, and you can apply your reading and all those knowledge to the practical situations in terms of understanding the computer assisted instruction and its use in many other ways, many innovative ways. For this time, this is all from my side. Let us see each other in another session another time. Thank you so much. Dear learners, you were watching a video on teaching learning strategies and materials. In this lecture, we have studied the modes of computer-assisted instruction and their limitations. This video lecture was recorded by faculty at home during the homebound situation of COVID-19 pandemic using minimal technical resources. Technical errors, if any, are unintentional and may please be ignored. For any queries with regard to this lecture or broadcast, kindly send your email to techsupport@dth.ac.in. Thank you so much.